Uncensored. Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour of The Factor Uncensored tonight. Now, a federal judge has blocked a Texas law that would have given police broad powers to arrest illegal immigrants here in this country, right here in Texas. This new ruling is the latest in the feud between Texas Governor Greg Abbott's immigration enforcement policies and the Biden administration. Now, opponents of the bill say the measure is a drastic attempt by the state to police immigration. The judge rule that Texas law conflicts or is a conflict with federal immigration laws and goes against the Constitution. Abbott's side is expected to appeal the judge's ruling. My next guests react to that ruling. Our guests are here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, Cesar Espinosa from Fiel and attorney Kevin Fulton. Glad to have you here both on The Factor. Kevin, first of all, your response from the federal judge's decision to halt Senate Bill 4, which would go into effect next Tuesday. I'm sure you're not surprised by this as an attorney, right?
Not surprised at all, and I don't even think the governor or the legislature is surprised that it was stopped. And that's because we've always given great deference to the federal government when it comes to immigration policy. Under the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, the federal government speaks with one voice when it comes to immigration. So that's not a surprise, but I think Abbott is just frustrated with the amount of people that were crossing the border and the President Biden not doing anything about it. So this is him trying to chip around the edges to see what is allowable under the Constitution for a state when they see this type of invasion into their state.
No, Cesar, is this desperation by the governor or political theater?
We think it's more of a political figure. Now, one of the things that I think we may both agree on is that neither party has done anything to really fix the immigration issue. One of the ways that immigration could be fixed already is if we had a federal laws change so that people can migrate. One of the things that we don't hear people, we hear people calling this an invasion, but we don't hear people, that voice saying, you know, we're still hiring people, we're still putting people to work, we're still making record profits at the backs of immigrants. So at the end of the day, people cannot have it both ways. We're either going to have to sit down and fix this once and for all, or we're just going to have more of this political theater happening from both sides, including what's happening today, where you see President Biden and candidate Trump visiting the U.S.-Mexico border to do more of nothing. And if nothing comes out of that, that's going to be more frustrating. More people are going to die. And at the end of the day, nobody benefits from any of this.
And go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was going to say, I think the theory is that we've been here before. When Ronald Reagan was president, there was a promise that let's do comprehensive immigration. We'll legalize people who enter the country legally, and then we'll make sure that these types of things don't happen anymore. Well, what happened was they passed the legislation. We legalized people during the Reagan administration, and then nothing was done to stop the border, people from crossing the border illegally. So now you have people thinking, no, we've been here before. We're not going to do comprehensive immigration where we legalize people who are here illegally without first stopping the flow of people crossing the border. Otherwise, we're going to be in this exact same spot in a couple of decades.
And this is the same problem, is that archaic way of thinking that we're still back in the 80s where the different needs were happening, where people were migrating for different reasons. And it's that archaic thinking, that old school way of thinking that has led us to this point. I don't hear people complaining that in the last 40 years, some businesses have grown exponentially because of immigrant labor. That we don't talk about, that we're not ready to have that conversation. Yet we continue to call immigrants trash. We continue, like Ed Young was calling people garbage this weekend. And for a man who calls himself a man of Christ to refer to another human being like that, it's just incomprehensible. I cannot begin to figure out what is wrong with the Republican Party, what is wrong with conservative, saying that they don't want to immigrants coming in, yet when they come into their door and they're making their businesses grow exponentially, then we don't complain.
Yeah, well, the great thing is it's not a Republican issue anymore. That's what's been great about what Abbott did. You saw Abbott take him and send people into cities that were dominated by and controlled by Democrats, and you now see that frustration. It's no longer a Republican issue. It is an American issue because you have people entering the country legally, and we do not have the services in place to take care of that influx of people. Number one. Number two, We don't even know who's coming. A lot of people look at South and Central America and Mexico, but you have a huge population of military-age people coming from China, men that are entering this country, people coming from the Middle East. We have people coming from countries that do not like us at all, and we should be concerned that we're not able to vet that population that's coming in.
And in a real
Kevin,
cool reality.
Kevin, really quick, what do you see as the solution? Obviously, a path to citizenship for those who are already here, undocumented. You can't agree with that. What do you see happening? What do you see as a solution to this problem?
So I think the solution is, first, you stop the flow of people that are coming into the country. Once you fix that, then we can work on people who have been here for a significant amount of time. I think when you had the Dreamers Act, you had bipartisan support for the Dreamers Act, which included people who've been here, grew up here, came here when they were 1 year old. You didn't have a lot of pushback from either party. It's just the fact that first you want to stop the flow, and then we can open up the conversation for the people who have been here.
All right, Cesar, let's hear from you.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we can all agree that we need to really revisit our immigration laws. And both Democrats, I would agree with Kevin on one thing, is that this has sparked the conversation, but this conversation cannot stop at patches. We need a comprehensive solution, and maybe a pathway to citizenship is not what we need. We need some type of work visa, some type of avenue so we can release the pressure that's mounting at the U.S.-Mexico border, that's mounting all over the country.